Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shealyn and I own Ollie's Crochet, where we sell patterns, plushies, and more. Today we have a special guest who decided to join me. This is Ollie, my chihuahua, who my business is named after, and he's gone. He's gonna be in and out of the room, I'm sure, so you'll see him a bunch in the background. But I wanted to go ahead and tell you guys about how I went full-time with my crochet business. So I have been doing this full-time for about a year now. It's a little bit hard to gauge whether or not it's an exact year for me because of the situation that made me go full-time. So I have a daughter who is 17 months old, and I had her in May of 2024. So during that time, I was working at my local 911. I was a full-time 911 operator, and I worked literally until the day before I was induced. From that point, I went on maternity leave for 3 months, and I was going to go back full-time, but some personal things happened in my life to where I did not go back full-time, and I took on a relief position, which means I worked 2 shifts a month at least, just however many I wanted to work. I only did the 2 shifts a month because of my new hectic schedule as a mom. So from that point, because like I said, there was a lot going on in my personal life to where I was not able to go to and from work, and I also had a baby that I didn't want to necessarily put in daycare if I didn't have to. I just preferred to stay home with her, and I decided to talk to my husband about it, and we made the switch to go full-time with my business because I had a good income with it and made quite a few changes to get there. My entire maternity leave, I was, of course, recovering postpartum, getting into the role of motherhood, learning the swing of things, but I was also going really hard on my business and just trying to work really hard and basically accomplish the goal of going full-time, which I did. So with all of that being said, I really went full-time anywhere from like May of 2024 to November of 2024 when I quit my 911 job. You can kind of consider me going full-time sometime within that span because I was only working 2 shifts a month at my job. Anyway, that was a lot to kind of explain when this all happened, because now it is October of 2025 and I have been doing it for about a year. So in my notebook, I basically have a ton of different points that we're going to go through that have helped me to go full-time, and I'm going to just kind of go through them and go into detail about each one and how I believe it helps me go full-time, earn more income, and really just be able to make my own schedule in a sense. So the first thing is markets. Markets, I think, are pretty important to going full-time. However, it is not required. So I only do markets now twice a year since I'm a mom. Before, I used to do them more often. I was never an avid market goer because as a 911 operator, I had a pretty busy and hectic schedule as is. It just got more hectic becoming a mother. So markets are important, but they are not required. So if you can't make a market or every single market, don't think, oh, I can never go full-time, because that's not the case. I actually did less markets when I went full-time. But like I said, markets are great. You can make a lot of money at them. I love doing markets. My 2 a year, I look forward to all year. I love them so much. And it's definitely important to check them out first if you can. I made this mistake in the past of not checking them out. I just trusted the coordinator, thought they were doing an amazing job and everything was great. I got there, it turns out there was no advertising, and I have always made my booth fee back, but sometimes it's not worth the profit of being there. I think the least I ever made at a market was around $125 for a 4-hour event, and luckily the booth fee was only $25, but it wasn't worth it. For the driving there was like 25 minutes, the setup, loading up my car, sitting there for 4 hours, all of the plushies I made, and to only come back with $100 profit after the $25 fee, it was not worth it to me. So I always recommend checking out the market before you go if you have the option. I understand that some markets are seasonal, so sometimes you may have to take a risk if they're only, once a year. You can't check it out a year in advance. But if a market happens on the last Sunday of every single month, maybe go the Sunday before you are wanting to book a booth there and see if it's actually good, see if there's people walking around and a lot of people buying with bags in their hands. That's something else to look at. A lot of people go to markets just to browse, and yes, it is important to go make relationships, talk to people, interact. You go because you want some buyers, because you're doing this to make some extra money, make a living, pay bills, whatever. So it's definitely good to watch and make sure that there's actual consumers and customers there who are looking for products, purchasing products, and you're going to go there and make your money back, as well as hopefully a good profit. Another way that I have made sure to always make a good profit at my markets is by adding height to my booth. This is something that is a mistake I made in the past, and actually the market where I didn't make a lot of money, I also didn't add height to that booth. It was one of my earlier markets and I wasn't putting things on top of tables. I didn't have shelves, so it just wasn't great. I didn't have a good display. A lot of plushies were laying flat on the table and you can't see them, and it's not good. People like height. They want to be able to see exactly what you're selling from a distance as well, because then you're catching attention. I mean, you could be at a market and somebody 100 yards away could see your booth because there's height to it, see that you're selling plushies and not know exactly what it is, or whatever you're selling, not know exactly what it is, but you get their attention and they want to come to you. And another thing with getting attention is you want to add a lot of variety to your booth. So small plushies sell the best for me. However, I go to markets and very often large plushies will sell, but go in with the mindset that your large plushies are attention grabbers, and if they sell, that's a bonus. Sometimes, like I have my massive sock monkey, I brought 2 of them to my last market and neither of them sold at that market specifically, but a ton of people came because they saw it and they bought a ton of smaller plushies. They would say specifically, oh, I saw this, whatever, and then they would buy a bunch of small things, and that's okay too. Not everybody's expected to spend $100, $200 at your booth, but if it grabs their attention and they come in and spend 20 or 30 or 50 or 10, I mean, that's still income that is helping you out, and they came in because they saw something else that you made. Also, be sure to have see-through bags. I did just recently order some special bags that are like tote bags that are not see-through. They have my name on them, but I'm using those only for high dollar amount purchases probably, so that's something else that I'll get into in another video. But for this, I recommend getting see-through bags. I will link some down below that I use. They're pink, they say thank you, they're really cute, they've got little butterflies on them, but you can see inside of them. So if somebody walks past them and says, oh, where'd you get that crocheted item? They'll say, I got it from Ollie's Crochet down there. And that is definitely something that will bring you more business, because it's kind of like the customer who just bought from you is advertising as they're walking around. So that's just a win automatically. And you need bags anyway. The ones that I use are really affordable. Like, they're a great deal. My sister-in-law recently started a business and she goes to markets and she bought them too because they were such a great deal, and it's a great idea to have customers just advertise for you as they're walking through the market. People will see your products, be directed to you, and you've got more customers. Also, at markets, be sure to interact with your customers. Don't sit on your phone. Don't sit down in the booth, or if you do sit down, if you need to, that's fine. When you see a customer walking to you, if you can, stand up and greet them. Customer service goes a really long way. You want to build long-term relationships, and even if that's not your goal, to build long-term relationships, it's so good to interact with everybody there. The nicer you are, the more they want to hang out at your booth, and it's just always good to show the customer that you are attentive, that you want to help them, that you want to talk to them, just small talk, whatever, ask them how they are, things like that, I think go a really long way in making a difference and also making a sale. Lastly, this was a mistake that I made at my first market. I never made it again. So my first market, I thought it was like a garage sale and I only took cash. I lost so many sales that day. I think I only had Zelle too, which a lot of banks don't support Zelle. So people would say, do you take Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, or card? And I would say, no, I have cash and Zelle. That was it. That was a huge mistake because I lost out on so many sales that day. So since then, I did sign up for Square. Square is not sponsoring this at all, but they're great. I love them. I also referred my sister-in-law to them. I signed up for their app. It's totally free. They take a small fee from each transaction, but it's not large at all. Like, it's not even really noticeable. So I signed up with them. I use their app every single time, and you can get a card reader from them. I believe the first card reader is free, and after that, they're $10. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's what it is, and that has made such a big difference. I remember I did a market back in August of 2023, I believe, and it was a night market. It was very busy, but I got $700 in just the card reader sales. Could you imagine if I didn't have a card reader? I would have potentially missed out on $700 worth of sales right there, because not everybody carries cash nowadays. So I highly, highly, highly recommend getting a card reader, bringing lots of change for cash, and also signing up for every single transactional app you can. If it's Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, everything you can, sign up for it and bring it to the market. Up next is working with brands. So this is something that I started to do last year, September of 2024. Vistaprint reached out to me. They were my first ever brand deal. They are still one of my best brand deals today, but they opened up the doors for me significantly just by reaching out to me and creating ads for them. I had so many other companies reaching out out to me, and I have worked with so many brands since. I will be honest, I don't know what made Vistaprint reach out to me because I didn't reach out to any other brands before that. I didn't see myself getting any paid partnerships anytime soon. I wanted them, I just wasn't sure if a brand would want me. Since then, I have learned that you can reach out to brands yourself too. So if you want to work with any kind of brands, companies, do campaigns, whatever, you definitely should look into reaching out to brands yourself. I think it does help if you have a little bit of a following, but I don't know what they're all looking for. I think sometimes they just look for content. I mean, I've seen some brands that I work with who I don't have a massive following, but I have a decent one, and I've seen them work with small businesses who are much larger than me and much smaller, and it seems like they still love them. So I don't think they're necessarily looking for a follower count, but they also like content, good content that effort is put into. That's really important. So really just make sure that your content looks great. It doesn't have to be the perfect quality everything. I literally use an iPhone 11 to record everything for Instagram. It is not fancy, not new. I need a new phone because this one's on its last leg, but you don't need the newest, fanciest equipment. Just do your best to make sure your content looks good, that there's some aesthetics to it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want clear images, clear videos, just things like that. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there online, post everything. Everything is content. You never know what's gonna go viral, and who knows, maybe that one video that you get 100,000 views or 500,000 or a million views, a brand is gonna see and then they're gonna DM you. It happens so often, and like I said, just that one brand deal that I got opened the doors up for so many, and now that is one of my main sources of income is brand deals. Another thing that I did when I had other brands start to reach out to me is I accepted gifting campaigns. Gifting campaigns I no longer accept. My schedule has gotten so busy that I can't fill it with gifting campaigns at the moment. I only do paid partnerships, but in the beginning, I accepted every gifting campaign that came my way if I liked what they had to offer, because I figured that's going to open up the doors for other brands, and it did. So the goal with that, the way I see it at least, is that other brands who are going to be paid partnerships will see what you can do as far as ads. They're going to see what kind of ads you produce, what kind of content, what kind of effort you put into them, and then they're going to see you, like you, and want to reach out to you for a paid collaboration. So in the beginning, like I said, I had quite a few gifted campaigns. My husband would literally open up our door and I would have 5 packages on the front porch waiting for me that I had to film content for, and it was all for free. They just gave me their product, I filmed it, and that was it. And that, I believe, is a huge gateway to get into more paid collaborations, because like I said, now that is pretty much all I do is the paid collaborations with brands that I actually love, products that I actually love, and it definitely helped me get there. So don't be afraid to accept gifted collaborations when you're starting out, but don't sell yourself short either. Don't do only gifted collaborations unless you actually want to. If you don't mind gifted collaborations, there's nothing wrong with them, but just remember that you are putting your time in to advertise somebody else's product just in exchange for that product. So just make sure it is worth your time and you enjoy it if you want to accept gifted collaborations. I do think it is very important to be authentic online. Definitely don't advertise or try to sell something that you wouldn't actually use yourself. I think that definitely will take away a lot of credibility from you, and your followers may not trust you as much. So I personally will not advertise anything that I don't like. I make brands aware of that if they reach out. I've had some of them tell me personally, if you don't like what we have to offer, just keep it. You don't have to post it, it's okay. And the contract ends there. But other times I have been the one to tell brands that I will not work with them if I don't like the product. I'll try it out, and if I don't like it, unfortunately, I just can't post it. And I've actually never had a brand have an issue with that, and I've only had to do that with one product. I don't want to say exactly which one it is because it could totally just be a fluke, and I don't want to badmouth some company because honestly everybody else seems to love it. But I did post it one time. I was supposed to make 2 posts about it. It ended up breaking after not using it often, and I was like, I just can't post it again, I'm sorry. And there were no issues with it. I was honest, seemed okay, everything worked out. But like I said, I don't want to name the brand because they have great reviews, so I really think it was just a malfunction or a fluke, and I just don't want to hurt their business at all. I just couldn't promote it from that point because it didn't work out for me. This is something that I learned a lot later in the game of working with brands, is creating a rate sheet. I didn't even know that these were a thing until somebody asked me for one, and I Googled it. I was like, I don't know what a rate sheet is. I need to put that together really quick. So I actually made one on Canva. If you go on Canva and just search in their templates rate sheet or content creator rate sheet, you will have a ton come up. Find one that you like, that matches your aesthetic, matches your business. Mine just has some like pink on it, some photos of me, as well as the different kind of work I do. It has some about me, so I could work with brands who want content about crochet, motherhood, just some different things that I have to offer, and your insights, analytics, things like that. They want to know how many followers you have across all platforms, your average reach, engagement, just some different things so they can see exactly what you have to offer their company, and then also pricing. I'm not going to go too in depth about the rate sheet because once you're on there, it's pretty self-explanatory. You use a template from somebody else who already has their own, and from that point, you can just price out each piece of content and what you would be willing to make content for. Be willing to negotiate prices. It happens quite often, but do not sell yourself short. Now I'm pretty firm on prices, but I used to negotiate them quite a bit. The most common piece of content that I have been asked to make is Instagram reels, and those can take hours to make because with my job, I crochet. So sometimes I have to crochet something for the piece of content. So I have to factor that in, as well as the time filming, the voiceovers that are often involved, the captions, and the editing. There's so much that goes into them, and very often there is a specific thing that needs to be in the description, and there's just a lot that goes into it. So factor in the hours. Don't just think this is a 30-second reel and I'm getting paid $500 for it. You need to think that this reel is gonna only be 30 seconds, but it's gonna take me 5 hours, and this company is gonna have the rights to post it across all of their platforms. So your content matters. It is worth something. Do not sell yourself short. There's work going into it, and that is also gonna be how you present yourself. So many other brands will see that content and they're going to choose whether or not they want you from that content. So be sure that you're presenting yourself in a way that you want to be presented and be fully yourself and authentic. Don't be afraid to decline brands if it doesn't feel like you. Personally, I refuse to work with AI brands. That's just a conviction that I have that I cannot do, and unfortunately those are usually the brands that pay the most. I mean, AI brands offer a lot, but I will always decline them because it's not something I feel right selling. It's not something I will use. So just keep in mind that if you have your own personal convictions or it's not something that you will sell, I would highly advise against selling it or recommending it to your followers. My next tip is to post on all platforms. Every platform that you have, post on it. I only started posting on YouTube a little over a year ago, and it is the first platform that I went viral on. I have 2 million views on a shorts video that I hit last week that I was so excited about, but I put off posting on YouTube for so long because I was so scared of it, and now I did, and I actually am growing here, which is great. Instagram is my main platform. That's where I have my main following, where I connect the most with people and with the community, but it is important to know that posting on all platforms is very important for a business. It is not essential, but I definitely think it helps when going full time, because now that I have posted on YouTube and TikTok pretty consistently, as well as Facebook, I have started that up again. I get orders from all platforms. I definitely made a lot of relationships and lasting relationships with customers on Instagram, but YouTube now has definitely gotten a lot of people to go view my storefront and my Etsy, and that has taken me a long way. So if you have the option to post on platforms, I recommend it if you want to go full time. Also, remember that everything is content. You might be doing something that to you seems like it's nothing because you do it every single day, but to somebody who doesn't crochet, they want to see you insert safety eyes. They want to see you do a row of single crochets. They don't know and they're interested in it. So if you do something, post it. Don't think that your content is stupid. Don't feel stupid posting. I know when I first started, I felt so stupid posting. I was so scared, so embarrassed. I was sure that it was going to be a faceless account. And then I was like, why am I doing this? This is what I'm passionate about. I love it. And I knew that I wanted to eventually go full time. So I decided to just fully immerse myself in the social media experience. And I'm so grateful that I did, because it's gotten me to where I am today, to working on this full time and staying home with my daughter. So don't feel silly about posting something. Just post the content. Another thing about being authentic is about crocheting what you like. Don't crochet only what sells. I think it's good, especially at markets, to have a mix. For example, leggy frogs are really popular, possums, mushrooms, maple chickens, different things like that that are small. They do really well, and I do always market prep those a little bit, just some small things like that. But I also like to show my personality and my style in my crochet. So I will crochet things that I like, that I know maybe this won't sell right away, but eventually it will sell to the right customer. And this is so important because it helps you avoid burnout. Burnout is something that is very real, something that I have experienced since working in this full time. And even before I was working full time, I felt it because I was taking only custom orders and not crocheting anything that I wanted for like a couple months straight. And I was so burnt out, and I was like, never again. So now when I take custom orders, based on how many custom orders I have at the moment, they're usually a couple months out. But one, because I can get backed up and I want to give a deadline that could potentially happen, but also because I try to squeeze in a small project in between every few customs so that I don't get burnt out and I can enjoy my craft. And while we are on the topic of custom orders, take custom orders if you have the time for them and if you want to. But custom orders for me when I was starting out were a huge part of my profits. I was making a lot of money doing custom orders, and like I said, it's just good to squeeze in some things that you like. If you're doing a custom that you really hate, make something you're going to enjoy after it so you don't feel that burnout and you can continue working on your business until you go full time. But I think that custom orders are a great way to earn extra income. There's something great to offer that a lot of crocheters don't offer, so it kind of lets you stand apart from the crowd. Some people want a loaf cat that looks exactly like their cat, or a doll of their kid's favorite TV show, or just some random things like that. If it's something that you don't mind working on and you think you could build a lasting customer relationship with it, my advice would be to take the custom. I have 5 specific people who I take customs for all the time now, and I never turn them down unless it's a specific character. Like, I don't crochet anime characters or certain cartoon characters or just things like that. But for the majority of their custom orders, I always take them. And from these specific customers, I have made thousands of dollars from just those 5 people. So that is another big part of my income that I'm very happy and grateful to have, and I never turn down customs for them. The last custom that I made for one of those people was in September. It's kind of worked out to have like them rotating, and they just happen to come to me at different times, and almost every time I finish up a custom for one of them, another one comes to me, requests a custom, and I end up doing it. But I enjoy these customers a lot. They're great people. I have so much fun doing business with them. I've gotten to know their personalities. They're just wonderful, and they've kind of turned into crochet friends in a sense, but they have also boosted my business so much, and they are so supportive of small business. So it is important to take custom orders if you can to build those lasting relationships. One of the largest things that has helped me grow my small business and go full time is crochet patterns. I released my first crochet pattern, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know the exact date, but I think it was about 3 years ago. I believe I was maybe 6 months in, and it was my Clara cactus pattern, and it has done really well for me actually for being my first pattern. And since then, I've released probably 30 something patterns. I don't know exactly how many, but I have quite a few, and I have them on my Etsy and my storefront. Crochet patterns are a form of passive income because once you create it and you post it, people just continue to buy it, download the PDF, and you never have to touch it again except to change the stock if it sells out. I've actually had quite a few crochet patterns sell out, which is kind of shocking because I set the inventory to $9.99 on Etsy, but they do sell out. One of my most popular patterns that I never thought would do amazing, there is my pickle pattern. I have my pickle pattern for free on Instagram or a PDF on Etsy and my storefront, and that one has sold out so many times. I've made several $1,000s from that pattern. So crochet patterns are a huge part of my business. If you don't know how to write crochet patterns, that's fine. It doesn't mean you can never go full time. There's so many different ways to go full time with your business. Like I've listed, I have quite a few things that have helped me to go full time, and really I have a huge task list of things I need to do all the time, but that's just what works for me. So don't be worried if you don't know how to write a crochet pattern or don't want to sell crochet patterns that the goal is just not going to happen for you, because that's not the case. There's so many different things you can do, but in my case, crochet patterns have been a large portion of my income. I would say my brand collaborations and crochet patterns are definitely my 2 highest forms of income, and they're probably pretty even with each other. When you're writing crochet patterns, don't just sell something to sell it though, or write something because it's easy. Be sure that you are not stealing somebody's pattern. You want to try to be as unique as possible. There are so many leggy froggy patterns out there where Not Jaded Co has been knocked off, unfortunately, and there's so many of the exact same mushroom pattern out there, and so many of the same loaf cats out there where Annie Caraway art was knocked off. I mean, it's really unfortunate when that happens. As a pattern writer, I have had my own patterns knocked off before, and accidents do happen, mistakes totally happen, but there's sometimes where it was very obvious, and it happens. It's very disheartening when it does happen, but it's one of those things that you kind of just have to accept in the community and unfortunately move past it. But don't let that deter you too much from writing and releasing patterns if you want to, because like I said, it's been worth it for me. I've had a few people steal my patterns before and give them away for free on websites and things like that, but in the grand scheme of things, I just have to let that go, put it behind me, and know that this helped me go full time releasing my patterns, and there's risks that come along with it that sometimes you just have to take. The final thing that has helped me greatly with my business that I also started up not too long ago was opening my storefront, my own website. So before I only sold on Etsy and I only sold patterns on Etsy. Now I sell patterns on my storefront, which is on Squarespace, as well as plushies on my storefront. Etsy's fees are really, really hefty for the seller, and Squarespace is not. Squarespace I really like. I like working with them. They're also not sponsoring this video. However, if you want to, you can, but their fees are really, really cheap. It's really mainly just a monthly fee, and I think I pay like $35 a month, roughly, somewhere around that, and it is so worth it because I have so many sales from there that are mainly plushies, things that I ship out, and $35 is nothing compared to what I make from it. So it makes a huge difference in offering different ways for customers to shop. I know that some people don't use Etsy, they don't like Etsy, so they want to go on my website, and I've actually gained quite a bit of income since opening my storefront that I didn't have specifically from Etsy because I didn't sell plushies on Etsy. So if you have the means to, I definitely recommend opening up a storefront and seeing how that goes for you. So a quick overview of every way that I earn income for my business is going to markets, working with brands, having a storefront as well as an Etsy, posting on all platforms and getting paid from some of those platforms, taking custom orders, selling patterns, and selling plushies. Definitely let me know if you have any questions about anything I said. I know I kind of went into a lot in this video, talked about a lot, and went down a whole list. So if anything was confusing to you, if you have any questions, if you have suggestions about other things people can do to earn some extra income, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, and I will respond to everything. Going full-time with this business has totally changed my life because as much as I loved being a 911 operator, it was not my passion. And this is my absolute passion where I get to stay home with my daughter, and I love it so much. And I hope that everybody who wants to go full-time with their business can. And I hope this video helps you kind of learn a little bit about the process and learn some different ideas as well as getting your business to that point. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye.